Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Youth Pulse podcast. We are your hosts, Lincoln Dye.
And Vidi Vyas, and today we'll be exploring imposter syndrome and perfectionism in high school students.
So, according to a recent Harvard article, 25 to 30% of high school students struggle with perfectionism.
This is a significant issue today because high school students associated with perfectionism can lead to high burnt out, anxiety, and other mental health issues.
And one of the main things that we discovered is that in the fast paced world today, where people are constantly consuming media, such as in TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or other short form content that people consume, it kind of leads to like more jealousy, envy, comparison, and other things that can really lead to people feeling mentally unstable, burnt out, anxious, everything else that you said. And so that's kind of why like doom scrolling especially can be so hard on our mental health, and that's why we wanted to explore this.
And then, just to start off, I found a quote from the National Psychological Association, saying that no matter how well a person is doing in life, there are border or hordes of others online who seem to be doing better. This is often just portrayed to us comparing ourselves to other people, no matter how good we're doing, and this causing the line and strategy for perfectionism.
Okay, so to start us all out for today, we wanted to start by going over some definitions so that way no one is confused when watching this, or if you maybe are unfamiliar with some of the terms that we use. So the first one is perfectionism, and the clear definition for that is the felt need or pressure to be or appear perfect, and is typically associated with having unrealistic, high personal standards. So what this means in normal person terms is that someone may seem perfect on the outside, portray themselves as having everything perfect, their life all planned out and figured out together, but realistically, they're struggling to do this. They're having to work extra hard to meet this standard, and ultimately, their life is being centered around this anxiety of being perfect.
And then imposter syndrome, just to clarify that as well, is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is observed or deserved or had been legitimately achieved because of one's effort or skills. So it's almost similar to perfectionism, but more so focused on the fact that they just aren't deserving of it and like their efforts aren't enough.
So, the main problem is that these two topics, perfectionism and the imposter syndrome, can blend together and create a really toxic cycle where people are feeling the need to be perfect. They're doing everything that they can to remain perfect. And then they end up in this cycle where they feel like they're not enough because of that imposter syndrome that's developed. And so they're constantly doing so much work that everyone else can see, and yet they personally feel like themselves that they're not enough or that their work isn't good enough. And so it kind of leads to some other things that we know, like if you know someone who's a workaholic, someone who spends their whole life around school or even sports or other areas in their life, where their life just becomes so centered around this kind of toxic thing that's ruining their life, it's consuming their life, and it kind of makes them miss out on other important things that life has to offer.
Okay, to start off our segment, we're going to talk about first perfectionism in just high school students. So, I wanted to begin this off with saying I think perfectionism and imposter syndrome is most common in high school students just because adults have work life, young children have school life, but high school students really have to maintain both. And majorities, obviously some people don't work, but majority of high school students, especially juniors and seniors, work, take hard courses, have homework, burnout, and I feel like that striving for perfectionism can really be seen in them and like maintaining sports, relationship, friendships, all of those things can come together and really like even just in our life we see that like people being constantly burnt out all the time.
I think another one of the main issues that our society doesn't talk about enough is the fact that high school students are so pressured when it comes to school specifically, and really it can involve any area of life, whether it's school, work, or sports. or extracurriculars because of college. And of course, many parents want their kids to go to college. And so that's already one expectation. The other thing is that the school system itself wants you to go to college. It wants you to remain getting an education. But when it comes to going to college or university, it's extremely competitive to get in, especially if you want to go to somewhere that's more rigorous or out of state, or if your family doesn't have like the financial income to support just paying for college and you need scholarships and stuff, it can be so difficult to actually get a scholarship just by being an average student. And so that's why so many students are pressured into taking all of these extremely difficult classes, having to study for the SAT, ACT, taking um, internships, having so many different extracurriculars, and not even extracurriculars, but being captains of sports teams, being the president of a club, founding a club, doing all of these community service hours. There's so much that's expected of students to get into college. And I feel like that can lead to perfectionism because if someone's being forced to do all these amazing things, they're going to start critiquing their own work because they're fearful for their future.
I think going off of that, like you said with the peer pressure, I think with the quote I mentioned earlier, especially social media and even just your friend circle can also affect this problem a lot because if your friend is really good at something, you want to be good at something too. And seeing constantly how people around you and everyone's trying to do their best, like people are studying for hours, people are going to practice day and night, and still maintaining a social life. So finding that balance can really make this worse because you want to be good at everything. You want to be perfect at everything. You want to get into these good schools, but you also want to have like a social life, go out on the weekends, spend time with your family. And I really think that like lack of finding a good balance because doing all these things is really hard and complicated coming from both of us with actual like knowledge on this as well. I think that finding that like lack of knowledge is like a huge issue with like striving to be perfect.
For sure. I know that as a high school student myself, you too, I go on social media and I go and scroll a few videos and I see a video of someone online who is talking about their high school experience and they have a 5.0. They're captain of the football team.
Over 500 hours of community service.
They're the president of every single club on campus. They're already applying for scholarships and have a full ride acceptance to Harvard. It's insane. These people nowadays have so much going for them. And so it really makes you feel behind, even if you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can say for myself, I know that I am above the average high school student, but when all I see online are these absolute superstars or the top 0.1% of people in high school, it makes me feel behind, even if I'm not.
I also think that especially like 2026, just like the recent decade, it's gotten worse because I feel like now almost everyone is smart or everyone's good at something. Like whether it's something niche, something specific, something general, everyone's really good at whatever they do. And so just like that competition sector also makes it way worse because even if you're really good at something, you're not the only one that's good at something at your school, in your state, internationally, and it's just all of this competition put together can
And not
affect that
even
too.
that, but there's so many more resources nowadays compared to before. I feel like before, and this is more of just a personal opinion, but I feel like even if we look at 5 years ago or 10 years ago, if we just take a step back, people really had to just be smart or they just had to be athletic or mainly those two things. I feel like you had to be one or the other, and then you were kind of set up for life. Nowadays, there's so many resources, and I feel like things like AI can take such a huge role in that because people can just use AI to do their homework for them, to even help study for a test and use it more like ethically, and be able to do better in school because of these new resources. And because of that, we can see, especially in our school for sure, we can see everyone has a high GPA, everyone has good grades. Now it's maintaining the good grades and everything else.
Yeah, and everyone, it's almost like having good grades and being in sports is almost as an expectation now, and not like something that, oh, if you're good at this, then you're good at that. But just like, I really think that people want to be perfect at everything and feel like even if they are really good at it, that they're not good enough because of the people around them, the competition around them. Okay, going based off what we've been talking about, I think we should dive a little bit more deeper on the causes of why people, especially high school students, strive perfectionism. I know we covered a little bit on obviously going to college and stuff, but I think we should expand on that. And I just wanted to say, like we've been talking about before, like the competition sector, but I really think the reason why people want to be perfect is because it's almost seen as an expectation now. And people want to get into good colleges, no one really doesn't. And like it's just so hard to get into something good now unless you're like absolutely perfect at it,
Mm-hmm.
or you have to have like you can't even just be passionate about one thing. You have to be passionate about school, sports, and like your own personal life.
Yeah, I think it's the culture nowadays is that we have, let me take a second. So, the previous generations, their culture was really focused on the almost middle class American family. What I mean by that is the average family, they wanted you to grow up, go to college and get a general degree, have a career, have a family, have a get married, and kind of just that average life where it's like you're not upper class, but you're not lower class. You're just in the middle. You're having an average life. And I feel like that was the main culture. And I think nowadays, and maybe it has something to do with COVID or just social media or maybe the rise of influencer culture. But I feel like nowadays, one, people are kind of wanting to have more of a wealthy future for themselves. And I also think it could be because people were given a stable childhood because of the previous generations having the middle class family. Is that kids nowadays typically grew up in a middle class family where they had opportunities, they weren't really behind, they were just average. And so having those opportunities now, we're able to take the opportunities and the privilege that we grew up with and use that to even have like a even better future for ourselves. But one of the issues with that is that now we see the need for perfectionism. We see how people are working so hard and really overworking themselves. And I think another issue could just be the fact that there has been so much inflation recently in like with the economy that people feel like they need to be making so much money and working towards their future because everything is so expensive nowadays. You can't survive off of even like a teacher salary. You can't survive off of a kind of regular job, I would say. You have to be a business owner, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be some insane content creator or influencer. Okay, everyone, so we did have some technical difficulties and a little change of scenery, but this is our new area.
Okay, anyways, going back to what we were talking about, um, I really agree with you, Lincoln, in what you were saying with the culture being created and the inflation. But I also wanted to just say that I think that perfectionism itself has like a really huge impact on mental health of high school students. Like, obviously, this is what we're talking about, but I really feel like anxiety is probably the most linked to this because of like this burnt out aspect and stuff, and you're constantly worrying about not being good enough or being behind in life. And like, even if it's just as simple as doing your homework for tomorrow, like you have 5 or 6 different classes, and you constantly feel behind because if you miss one day, you're even more behind. And like as soon as you're a senior applying to colleges, junior you're completing your ACT, SAT, and it's just like this constant cycle that you like can never almost get out of.
Yeah, and then just to delve a little bit deeper into how this really relates or comes into the imposter syndrome is that when we are so overworked, when we are always struggling to be perfect, we are comparing ourselves and just looking to be always the best version of ourselves and to even put on like a fake mask of pretending to be perfect. It does lead to us kind of constantly rethinking our decisions, rethinking our abilities. And when you're constantly thinking, how could I have done better? Why am I not at the same level as this other person? Why am I not doing as good as this person? It leads to the kind of loss of feeling successful because when you actually do good, let's say you get 100 on a test, you're going to see that 100 on a test and think, okay, I got a 100, but I'm still not this. I'm still not at a 100 in the class. I'm still not perfect in the subject. And so it's just this the constant perfectionism leads to a feeling of you are not enough, or you have to constantly work to be enough.
Yeah, I think that imposter syndrome itself, like it's really just like a reflection of this like burnt out cycle that you're going through, and like just feeling like that even if you're really good at something, like you said, you're not good enough, or like you're not going to be good enough because other people are better or other people are just as good as you, so that makes you almost less than.
Yeah,
And I think that really affects like especially teenagers' mental health, and just like even just like looking at other people on social media, like you don't even know them and you're still comparing yourself to them.
yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about our personal experiences now and kind of just have a more personal conversation with you guys because I feel like a lot of us can relate to the kind of issues that we talked about. And then we also wanted to just share some advice. So the first thing is that we both take the same classes and we are in all AP and honors classes. So those are just the more rigorous college level classes that have more expectations. One thing for me that I know is that I feel like I'm just drowning in homework all the time. I feel like no matter how much I try to get ahead in life or kind of do homework for the week, I always end up behind somehow. I always end up having hours of homework.
Yeah, like Lincoln said, we're in all AP classes, which I think definitely adds to the workload a lot. And it's just like not even the homework, but like being like in the class and just like knowing that everyone else is like going through the same thing. People in our class are in varsity sports, captains of other teams and stuff, and clubs. And it's just like it makes you feel almost like you shouldn't have a reason to be like tired or drowning in homework or anything like that because everyone else is doing it too. Like you're not the only one, and it makes you like, especially me, like I feel like the imposter syndrome really comes in there sometimes when like I feel like everyone else is also in the same boat as me, and I don't really have a reason to be like tired when some people are doing more than I am.
Heavy on that because I know I constantly compare myself to other people in our classes who are able to finish all of their homework and do it really well while having something after school every single day. And while I have a lot of outside expectations from school, I still have free time when I get home, and I still have a lot of time to do homework, and it takes me so long to do the homework
Yeah,
still. So I definitely find myself comparing myself to others. How are they able to finish it so fast? Why am I not as quick as them?
yeah. or like, and they have like a social life, they're doing well in everything too, which also I totally understand this for like even like general classes and whatever, like people obviously get homework in every class,
Yeah.
but like just like finding that perfect balance I think is very like, you can just like be jealous of someone and be someone like how they're like, how are someone good at everything and still be like so bubbly.
Yeah. Another thing is our work. So I work at Harkins, the movie theater, and for me, I kind of carry over my perfectionist or imposter syndrome from school into work as well. I think it's more of a coping mechanism for me. I don't know if you feel similarly, but for me, it definitely feels like a coping mechanism. And I tend to find myself wanting to prove myself to my coworkers, to my managers, and really just to myself and everyone.
Yeah, I work at a ice cream store, but I also completely understand this because just like having school and work at the same time itself feels heavy in itself, like just going to school and then not every day, but some days going straight to work, but like in like even if you're tired from school, like you still have to do good at work and like not be lousy or lazy and like complete all your responsibilities there, be nice to all the customers and like just seeing like your coworkers like sometimes can like also I feel like that too, like the imposter syndrome there as well. Like how are they like so not as tired as I am? They go to school too. I work with high school students too. And like they just got back from school and they're fine. And at my work we make ice all the time and like big bags and like heavy lifting stuff too. And like just like that feeling of why am I burnt out, but they're not, which obviously they probably are, but it's just like that head cycle, like where you think that you shouldn't be tired or you shouldn't be burnt out.
Yeah. For me personally, the main thing that I do to really help myself is I just remind myself that everyone has different limits and everyone has different capacities. So, someone who I might know or might be in my class is able to really go to school all day and then from school go to their club or go to a sport and then go straight to work and then after work hang out with friends and then when they get home they're able to do homework for a couple hours and they're able to live like that from day to day.
Yeah.
I can't function off of that.
Yeah, right.
I need downtime. I need relaxation to avoid burnout. And always just have to remind myself that's okay.
Yeah, I think taking breaks is really important and like giving yourself time for you, whether that's just like sitting in your room, literally playing a game with your friends, going on a walk. I think doing something for yourself is very important and that it's okay to not follow a cycle or like it's okay to even call out of work one day, like not go to school, take a mental health day. Like it's
Hmm.
completely okay. And it's actually, I think it should be like necessary that you have like a day or two to yourself.
And to go off of that, when you take a break or when you have a day of clearing your head, of not wanting to feel burnt out, put down the phone. I say the best way to really successfully have a break is to limit your exposure to media because the main thing that we come back to is, well, I can take a break day, but on that break day, I feel so anxious about the work that I'm not doing. Because I do that myself too.
Yeah.
I'll give myself a break day, and then the whole day, I'm just thinking about how anxious I am.
Yeah. Like you see things on social media, even if like your friend texts you, oh, wait, did you do that math homework? And you're like, no, I didn't. And
Yeah,
it's just
so,
like every outside factor can affect you in your life too, even if you're taking a break.
yeah, so when we put down the phone, when we live in the moment, when we let ourselves just think and have time to ourselves, I feel like that's when we're really able to fully relax and be okay with relaxing.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be passionate in what you're doing, and it's good. It's always good to be good at whatever you're doing. Like that's a talent. That's not easy. Not everyone's good at everything. But I think that taking a break and telling yourself that it's going to be okay and that not everyone's the same. people have different strengths and weaknesses is really important.
Well, thank you so much for watching our podcast. If you liked this episode, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more episodes and comment down below your ideas.
We'll see you guys in the next segment.
Bye.